It's officially fall, which means football season is here. Get into the action now with our good friends at DraftKings Sportsbook.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is dishing out a can't-miss offer for all their new customers.
All new customers need to do is sign up using the promo code SMOKE. Bet $5 on any football team to win and receive an additional $200 in free bets if that bet cashes.
You heard that right. New customers who bet at least $5 on any football team to win this weekend will get an additional $200 in free bets if your bet hits.
DraftKings has been around for a while, so you know that your funds are safe and they can be withdrawn whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code SMOKE and receive $200 in free bets if their bet hits after placing a $5 pregame football wager. That's promo code SMOKE only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Welcome back, All the Smoke LA Season 4. Jack, we got a special guest.
I mean, special.
Someone very important to us and kind of getting in our start in this whole space.
Wouldn't be here without
Emmy Award-winning journalist.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a minute since you've been on here, and you haven't been talking to nobody. Welcome, Rachel.
Everybody who has something to say comes through All the Smoke. Let's not kid ourselves.
On, man.
We love you, so it's only right.
Before we get to what we're going to get to, we would like to officially welcome you to the Showtime family.
Yeah, you're making the announcement.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you're part of the gang now. Rachel is here to join the Showtime basketball team and really kind of help guide this ship. So it's an honor to have you on board, and we're excited to be working with you.
No, I mean, I am so thrilled. For 25 years, I have gotten to do what I love for a job, which is also kind of crazy in and of itself. And to have this next step, be with Showtime Sports, to get to work with crazy, cool, talented people I admire and respect, both in front of and behind the camera. I'm so excited to join you guys.
Can you take a few minutes, let's get straight to it, to tell us about your departure from ESPN?
Yeah, I mean, look, it all started really good a few years ago. We can go back to 2019, 3 years ago. ESPN gave me a new contract. I'd already been there with the Jump. And in the contract was that I was going to host the NBA Finals. And you guys have known me for years.
Yes.
I have covered this sport for decades. The idea that I was going to host the NBA Finals, that
Everything
was
to you.
my dream job.
That was going to be your first time doing it?
That was going to be my first time doing it. It meant the world. I mean, I called every executive involved personally to thank them. I mean, I was so excited. They put everything in writing in the contract. They put out a big press release about it. One of the things I asked for in the contract was that any pregame show I did would be a continuation of our daily show, The Jump, because it was something we started together. I was so proud of. And I just also didn't want any confusion. There's a lot of politics at ESPN, and I knew that the NBA Countdown job was still open, and I didn't want anyone to think that I was trying to horn in on NBA Countdown. I wasn't. I wanted to stay with The Jump. It was important to me. So I thought making that distinction would really help things. And Maria Taylor ended up getting the NBA Countdown job. I really wanted to make an effort to welcome her, to open my door to her. I sent her flowers when she got the job because I was really, really happy for her.
What changed on how you felt in the workplace?
Well, things got complicated later that season. Y'all know it was 2020, right?
Yeah,
so
the world was
we had a pandemic.
Crazy spot.
There was the tragic murder of your friend, George Floyd. A lot of difficult conversations with this country looking itself in the face, seeing what had to change and be different. And the New York Times did an expose in July of 2020 on racism at ESPN and the lack of opportunities for people of color. And the executives at ESPN said what I think people would expect, all the right things about we'd like to give more people more opportunities. We're continuing to grow, all of those things. And around the same time, I got a phone call asking me, would I step aside for Maria to host the NBA Finals and have me go back to being a sideline reporter? And they stressed it was my choice. They weren't telling me to do this because it was in my contract, but they were putting a lot of pressure on me. I was being told, well, you're not a team player, which any woman in business knows is code, right? Women are supposed to be kumbaya and team players and helpful, and men are aggressive sharks and all of that. And I just felt like, hey, I worked so long, decades for this job. I have done everything that was asked. We put on some great shows leading up to the playoffs, and I wanted a chance to do it. And at this time, I was also getting ready to leave for the bubble and went down there, and it was a different set of equipment than I had been using to broadcast at home. So my very first day, I'm there, I'm using the new equipment, and I didn't know that if you leave a particular app running in the background, that the line from my hotel room, looking into my hotel room, to Bristol would stay open. So I thought I was done for the day. I did the things you would do on your first day in a hotel room. I spent hours unpacking, called my husband, talked to my kids, called some friends, called my doctor. And unfortunately, that entire time, nobody back at ESPN told me that there was an open line to my hotel room and anyone who looked at the feed could see me. No one shut it off. Decided, oh, she clearly doesn't know she's being watched unpacking or doing all these other things. And at least one person decided to just sit and watch and started spying on me like I was their own personal television show. And when they heard something they thought was juicy, they picked up their cell phone and they started recording my conversation on their cell phone.
A personal conversation?
Yeah, this was a conversation between me and a friend. We talked about a lot of different things, but then he brought up the article that had been in the paper about the lack of opportunities for people of color at ESPN, and we started talking about how my situation may intersect with some of the race and gender history of a network that is, again, well documented, is complicated history with both of those kinds of things and those issues. So we started talking about it, and I want to try to get, if I have it here, exactly what I said, because I think there's a lot of confusion over that, and there's been a lot of bad headlines.
So let's get it clear.
So let's just get it clear.
Right.
So here it is. I called Maria Taylor incredibly talented. Then I said, I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you, ESPN, are feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side, well, then go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it from me taking my thing away. This is in my contract. This job is in my contract in writing. And I want to just kind of touch on the female side of it, part of that quote, and the frustration in my voice when I was talking about it. Because you guys are players. You know what it's like for women in this business. Yes. And y'all know when I started, I mean, things are a lot better now than when I started 25 years ago. And I have been through a lot. I have fought through a lot of things in this business to get to where I am. And to me, it felt like, hey, if you have a problem, if it is this article, if it is something else, whatever it is, why are you coming to the two women here to solve it? Like, why is this a switch? Yeah. And, you know, one thing I said in that conversation that didn't get publicized as much is, Maria worked on college football at the time. She was the sideline reporter on college football, and Reese Davis was the host, just like I was the host of the NBA Finals and the host of the NBA pregame show. And I asked my friend on the phone, I said, do you think ESPN would ever say to Reese Davis, hey, we want to give Maria this opportunity, you go be the sideline reporter? Do you guys think that would ever happen?
I don't. I don't.
They don't say that to men. So when I said go somewhere else, when I was feeling so frustrated, that's what I was talking about. And things kind of progressed at ESPN. HR did a full investigation into it. They told me that I had done nothing wrong that required any kind of discipline. Then 6 months later, they actually gave me a contract extension and a raise. And they actually elevated Maria in that same period as well. So I thought we had put things behind us. And unfortunately, I think there were still some people who had bad feelings, and they held on to this tape for a year, just kept it in their pocket. And then when there was a point they wanted some leverage with their own situations, they fed it to the press. And the story that ran again in the New York Times. And I will say now what I said then, which is I feel very sorry that any of this touched Maria Taylor because she's a fellow woman in this business. It wasn't her fault what was going on. I wasn't talking about her actions. I was talking about someone else. And to even bring her into it, that was a mistake on my part. And if I caused her to be upset in any way, that stinks. I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to do that. So I called, I texted, I asked our supervisors to set up a meeting, and I was just told she wasn't interested in talking to me, which is, of course, that's her thing. And I thought that when this became public, I should also apologize on air. And I did that.
Imagine yourself working somewhere 25 years for a job, and they want to use you as a scapegoat to fix something that they've been fucking up for years. It don't work like that, and that's not fair to nobody of no race. And that's how I took it. You know what I mean? And it just wasn't right. And that's why I didn't mind jumping out there and standing up for you, because I love you and I know you. And like we said earlier, we wouldn't be here without you, but people just got to put themselves in somebody else's shoes sometimes before you just jump out there and judge and make it racial. You know what I'm saying? If I would be upset the same goddamn way if I've been working my life for a job for 20 years, and just because you've been messing something up your whole last 20 years, you want to use my situation to make it look better and make me take a step back on the job that I've been working for. It don't work like that. And that wasn't fair, so I understood it. And that's why I stood up for you.
Well, it was especially too in a time where there was so much racial tension. You know what I mean? Like, we knew what was in the air at the time, so that's why I kind of felt like, and that's what media, I had to learn the hard way on the Ime Udoka thing. I jumped out there without knowing everything and tried to be like, hey, if this is what I think it is from what everyone else is hearing, this is not all that bad. And then I kind of hear and I'm just like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? But it's the media will take stuff, and we know we're all a part of the media. The media will take stuff and take what they need and run with it. You know what I mean? And no matter who it hurts or affects, it's not about being right. It's about being first, So who wants to be able to break that?
I will say that in the days after all of this sort of became more public, I was really moved by you. Matt, you got on a plane at 5 in the morning to come be next to me on television.
Yeah, I remember.
And
you give me chills to think about it. We were out in Phoenix, right?
Yep. And with no hesitation.
I talked to him in Perk that morning.
Well, because we know it's always hard because obviously this is a crazy business. The NBA is a crazy business, but you really find very few real friends. I'm cool with everybody, but real friends is hard to come by. So when I started hearing that Rachel's racist and this is, and I was just like, fuck no. And that's why I felt like I had to speak on it. Like I said, you kind of, you definitely helped start Jack and with the jump at the same time. And then as soon as I was ready to come, like you were like almost a mother figure from a standpoint, this is your camera. If you need help with this, I'll practice, call me. Here's my cell phone. We can do that. I'm just like, oh shit. Well, because she's giving me the kind of the blueprint. So you were always so welcoming because I felt like you wanted to see us succeed in this space, which was dope, and it's a cutthroat business, you know what I mean? Not all athletes are cut out for this shit, you know what I mean? So you kind of let us know earlier, like, hey, this is where you got to be, and, if you need help, I'm here. So that's why, I really kind of went out there and just like, nah, this is not, I can personally tell you for sure she's not racist. So it's just hard because, like I said, the tension in the air at that time in 2020 was just there. It was a real division, because of what literally happened in the streets.
And I do feel that if I got anything sort of in that really rotten week, it was what you said publicly. You getting on that plane. It was Chris Paul, the head of the Players Association, saying, "I want to sit down with an interview with you still. Like, let's be on camera together." Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went on camera with me just a couple days later. That meant the world to me, given his position, everything he's fought through. Adam Silver made some comments I really appreciated about the situation. And it made me feel like, these 20 years, the people in the league know me.
Your peers.
They know
They respect you.
They know who you are. They know what you're about.
Right.
And that's something I took with me past the job at ESPN was, okay, this foundation, what I have done, it's not like I built the whole thing at ESPN. I worked at the Washington Post. I worked at CNN. I worked at TNT. I did baseball on TBS. I have done it all. So I covered football for years. That's me.
Right.
It's not ESPN granting me
Right.
my career. And that it sort of opened up for me what I could do somewhere else and sort of all the things I had been wanting to do. Well, where could I do that? How could I make that fun?
What would you say you learned from all this, Rachel?
I learned to be particularly careful with my words, that even if what I say, the exact words, and I read you that quote, if those words aren't so incendiary, they can make people feel a kind of way. They can make people feel like you're implying something that brings up that hurt, right? That brings up other experiences, that brings up their own frustration with things that have been told to them throughout their long career or things like that. And that whether it's in private, public, that it matters to me that I don't cause that kind of hurt. And I want to make sure that I get better every day at choosing what and how I say things and expressing who I really am. So I learned that. I also learned, frankly, that one of the things that was important to me in terms of the next job I did was, as you just mentioned, working with a team of people where everyone else wanted each other to win, right? That close group where people are having fun, loving what they do, and trying to support each other in a way that makes everyone better and kind of brings new ideas and all of that. So that was a big thing that I was looking for. And then also, the media world is changing. And, I grew up on newspapers, and I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, and I thought if I could work for the Washington Post, that was it. That's all I wanted to do. That's how I first met you. And I worked there for 10 years. But newspapers changed, right, with the internet and all the stuff. And it was like, I can reach more people and talk to more people if I do television. And now media's changing again. So yes, television, linear television is still a big part of how we all consume sports, but I'm also excited to be with a place that is really interested in, hey, we want to reach people. What are the, not just one, but 4 different ways that we can do that? How do people actually absorb sports into their life? Is it with 1 screen? Is it with 2 screens? Is it with something like you guys, right? This is a podcast, but also it's on TV. I see a lot of television cameras here, but this kind of place fosters, hey, just come to the table as you are, where you are.
We're excited and
Chapter closed.
happy to having you join us. What are your goals in the next few years?
Well, look, I think that Showtime is in such an exciting point because y'all got the players,
That's not
right?
the first thing you said, though, when I talked to you. You said your first job was to make us look good.
I did, actually. That is what I said, but I always think that's my job. I mean, that's what Matt was saying. I mean, that is how I go about this stuff. And you guys do this incredible stuff on the court. Well, I don't know anymore. I don't know how your back is, but
I'm on the golf course now.
But the reason we want to hear what you have to say is because of what you've accomplished, because of what you have done. I want to show that off. I want you guys to win and look your best and kind of succeed here. And it is the first thing I said to you. It's probably the first thing I said to you when you came to the jump. It's probably the first thing I said to you. It's the first thing I said to T-Mac. I am here to make this a success and to have fun. Because I think that across the sports landscape, we have kind of gotten into a point with studio programming, with things that aren't just the game, where, yes, there's absolutely a place for reporting on the business of sports. Yes, there's absolutely a place for investigative journalism. I believe that 100%. But people sit down and watch a game because it's fun, because they want to escape for a few hours, because they want to scream, because they want to see the hero and the villain. Drink, do other things. They want to see whoever they think is the hero, whoever they think is the villain, go at it. It's a story in front of them playing out in real time. And I just think that on the jump, one thing we were able to capture was the fun of sports. And that's one of my real big pillars for what we do going forward here at Showtime is let's have some fun. Let's invite people in to have fun with us. Let's tell some great stories. Stak, we haven't even gotten to half the stories of your playing days.
At all.
Same with you, Matt.
What about how he used to dress when he first came on the jump?
Oh, boy.
Like a 1990s LA gangster.
I mean,
He would have
Dickie suits.
He had Dickie suits, Pendletons, chains on top. I'd be getting ready for a game. Like, what the fuck is Jack wearing on the jump today?
Everyone's allowed to have their own style.
Yeah, he came around though.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We like that. But yeah, I just think there's so many things we can do that play on people's love of the game
Right.
and have a good time. So that's really the thing I want to do and focus on going forward.
Well, we just want to give you your flowers. I mean, Rachel, like
Oh.
you said, you've been so instrumental in not only us, but a lot of different people.
But definitely
again,
us.
for sure us. First and foremost, us. But again, like you said, and it resonated with me, around the league, your work has spoken for itself. And I think that's why, the people that didn't know you may have condemned you, but the people who know you, and that's what I really care about, is how the people who know me and love me feel about me. That's the only people that matter. And you really found out who did that and who did and who does. And to me, that's most important. But you're very special to us. You're very special to the NBA, all you've done and doors you've opened and your approach to the game. So we just want to let you know that, you've had a year off. I'm sure you're not too rusty. It's like riding a bike, but we obviously want to thank you for what you've done and welcome to you and excited to, partner up and move forward with you.
We're going to have so much fun.
Hold on,
looking
let me
forward
say
to
my
it.
little too.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
we'll talk your shit then, Jeff.
All right, all
Rachel,
right.
Rachel, I love you, but like it's deeper than just the show. We know a lot of guys that wasn't Hall of Famers or wasn't NBA stars the whole career. We don't get those opportunities.
Right.
So, and Gina will tell you, when y'all called me, I was in a position where I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was gonna do going forward. So to get that call from you and Gina, get the opportunity, it was a moment where I felt like that I really was appreciated for what I did and the relationship we had my whole career. And being a guy like that wasn't an all-star, that wasn't one of the guy on the commercials, to be able to get this opportunity and get that call from you, it meant the world. Because guys like me don't get these calls. So I'll forever ride for you and love you. And that's why I didn't hesitate to have your back, because the opportunity you give me is priceless and no dollar or anything you can put on it. Just the phone call and just thinking about me meant everything. So I love you and I always got your back.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's you. You earn that. And that is also being invested in the game. We know that having an exceptional basketball team that wins a title
Takes part.
does not just have all-stars.
Right.
Right? It has the glue guys. It has the guys, the fan favorites, the two of you.
The shit talkers, the fighters, the weed smokers.
and the Tracy McGrady's, right? And the Allen Iversons, which we, by the way, the fact that Showtime has partnership with my personal hero, Allen Iverson.
Yeah. We know how much you love him.
I just talked to Chuck the other day, man.
Our greatest living American. I just want to make that clear. I love you too, but I will throw you. I will throw you aside.
Yeah,
I will throw you aside for Allen
feel
Iverson.
you.
The idea that yes, T-Mac, Allen Iverson, and again here at Showtime, they both have partnerships with Showtime. The two of you, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. These are guys who all have different role on a basketball team, and they all have different roles when you're talking about basketball.
And they're all at Showtime now.
And we need all of those voices.
tuned.
And you kind of helped me and Jack get here from the standpoint of you allowed us to talk on TV.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Opening the door for us to talk, because like I said, I didn't even know I wanted to do this when I was done. He didn't know what he wanted to do. We would talk like, what's next? And it was just like, we started talking on TV and people were like, oh, you guys are good. You guys are real. You guys this. And that's what made me think, well, let's do something together. You know what I mean? So that's how kind of, all the smoke came about, was because we had an opportunity to talk on TV when we didn't know that we knew we could talk shit, but we didn't know we could really talk, and say stuff that people want, need and want to hear. So,
well, this is perfect. So I was in a way always helping to create things at Showtime, and now I get to get paid for
now
it.
you get to get paid for
B.
it.
Full circle, B.
Sign
love
them
it.
checks.
I love
Cha-ching.
it.
Well, Rachel, welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Excited to move forward. And, man, welcome to
wait.
Death Row. I mean, Showtime. Man, that's a wrap. Rachel Nichols, special edition of All the Smoke. You can catch us on Showtime Basketball, YouTube, and the iHeart platform, Black Effects. See y'all next week.
Yeah.
Let's get it on! Do you have what it takes to be the boss?
Two of Bellator's biggest stars co-headline the most stacked fight card of the year.
What a fight!
It's Pitbull versus Boric and McKee versus Carlisle. Saturday live on Showtime.